he's talking about. There's more footage. There's 140 hours that he has, and each episode was only maybe an hour, I think. There's 4 episodes, so there's at least 130 something more hours that he hasn't edited or produced.
For some reason, Diddy, around the time of his arrest, thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be exonerated later, so I'm going to film all this, and then I can use it in my big comeback later when I'm not in jail. Didn't work out the way he thought, and it turns out he went to jail for a few years. All right, he didn't get the full amount, but he still got a few years. And 50 Cent somehow managed to pay for the footage off of the videographer. Probably Diddy's worst nightmare, this. It's got to be up there. Now, we're going to get into what's in the actual documentary, and hell, it's something.
Anything that surprised you from that footage?
The footage, well, I mean, it was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, and what was sort of important to him. Obviously, there's phone calls with his attorneys, with his team. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. He has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public, in the days leading up to his arrest and indictment.
Like 3 or 4 pictures in the documentary that I've seen of myself. Some people say they saw more, but I know three different times where I was certain places that you could actually see me in the documentary, and that's the only.
When Netflix released Sean Combs' The Reckoning, many viewers felt almost immediately that something wasn't quite right. The subject matter was heavy. The allegations were serious. The timeline was deeply unsettling. And yet, there was a quiet sense that something was missing. Not facts, but moments. Not accusations, but reactions. The story felt carefully framed, tightly edited, even softened. That's when rumors of unreleased footage began to surface. According to insiders, the documentary had access to far more material than what ultimately appeared on screen. Footage that didn't just explain events, but captured how Diddy reacted as everything around him began to unravel. This wasn't old archival content. It was reportedly filmed just days before his 2024 arrest, at a moment when pressure was at its absolute peak. What makes the situation even more unusual is who stood behind the project. 50 Cent, a longtime rival who has never hidden his feelings, and Gene Deal, a man who once stood beside Diddy for years. That pairing alone raised eyebrows. But when legal threats followed the documentary's release, it became clear something deeper was unfolding. Netflix maintains all footage was obtained legally. Diddy's team claims private material was stolen. 50 Cent hints that far more remains unseen. And Gene Deal insists this is only the surface. So the real question becomes simple. What did Netflix choose not to show, and why?
Some reason, Diddy, around the time of his arrest, thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be exonerated later, so I'm going to film all this, and then I can use it in my big comeback later when I'm not in jail. Didn't work out the way he thought, and it turns out he went to jail for a few years. All right, he didn't get the full amount, but he still got a few years. And 50 Cent somehow managed to pay for the footage off of the videographer. Probably Diddy's worst nightmare, this. It's got to be up there. Now, we're going to get into what's in the actual documentary, and hell,
we need the core theme to be, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong on any front.
By the way, these conversations, the lawyer had no idea he was recording them. So when the lawyer's like, yeah, we need everyone to believe you did nothing wrong, it kind of takes away from when the lawyer is out in public saying, yeah, my client is completely innocent. And now he showed the behind the scenes where he clearly didn't think he was very innocent. So not Diddy's smartest move. However, throughout this journey, you'll see he makes a lot of crazy decisions.
I don't think it's working. I listened. I've been a superb client, as you said. I jumped on the plane. I'm coming to New York, but I'm just running around waiting for a shoe to drop.
He's shitting himself right now, in case you can't tell, and he really doesn't look good.
It's the middle of September, and there's still no indictment.
Then you have to have a spokesman. You have to have some sort of comms to constantly be pushing that, Mark. Because you may just be a person that you just may watch CNN. You know what I'm saying? And there's 9 billion people in the world, and 7 billion of them is on Instagram. in TikTok.
He's basically trying to get control of the narrative. That's what he's really worried about. He wants public perception to be, this was all bullshit. Unfortunately for him, we'd all seen the CCTV of him beating the shit out of Cassie. So, like, we know you're not a good guy, man. That's out there. A statement from your solicitor is really not going to change that.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us, whether they from this country or from another country. It could be somebody that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business of media and propaganda.
We need to brainwash some motherfuckers right now, and we need people who are used to working with the dirtiest of dirty, because that's what he is, and he's admitting it. How could you let this footage fall into the hands of 50 Cent, my guy? And honestly, it always comes down to money with Diddy, because Diddy didn't get rich just because he was, you know, clever in music. Diddy got rich because he robbed people all the time, and him not taking care of the people around him, it just comes back to bite him a million times over.
It's like we have a movie, you're speaking this language, and you know what I'm saying, we need subtitles, and we're not providing the audience with subtitles. And I invited you to this movie, and you in this thing, you don't know what's going on. You just see you just see the images, you know, quickly. Now it has a whole life of its own.
I gotta say, this whole doc was edited well. When he said you just see the pictures and they cut to the CCTV. Well done, 50. You nailed that, son. If you're going to take him down in style. So you get a clear window from the jump here into Diddy's psyche. He doesn't give a about Cassie or any of these girls. He doesn't give a about anyone. It's save yourself mentality, and it's crisis mode. And you can see on his face, well, you know he's got a problem. This is at an all-time high of his taking, surely, because he is stressed up.
The most talked about footage centers on the final days leading up to Diddy's September 2024 arrest. This wasn't a man unaware of the danger closing in around him. This was someone who knew the walls were tightening. Cameras reportedly followed him through meetings, phone calls, and private moments never meant for public eyes. One clip, now widely discussed, shows Diddy in a hotel room, speaking on speakerphone with his lead attorney. His voice is calm, controlled, but the words carry weight. He admits they are losing, not struggling, not delayed, losing. That single admission changed everything. Powerful figures rarely speak that way unless their options are rapidly disappearing. According to reports, the conversation quickly moves beyond legal defense and into reputation management. There are discussions about controlling the narrative, shaping public perception, and turning to people experienced in the darker corners of media manipulation. That context explains why Diddy's legal team reacted so aggressively. They argue these were private strategy conversations, never intended for public release, and claim the footage crosses a clear line. Netflix disagrees. So does 50 Cent. What makes this footage especially unsettling isn't just what's said, it's when it's said. It was recorded before the arrest, before the handcuffs, before the courtroom. It captures raw awareness, the realization that power, money, and silence may no longer be enough. And once viewers understand this footage exists, it becomes difficult to believe what aired on screen was ever the full story. One of the biggest mysteries is how this material left Diddy's control in the first place. According to reports, he had been working on a personal documentary, filming himself extensively. He wanted his own version of events preserved, possibly for future release, or as protection for his image.
50, how'd you get it, and what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you know, you're a journalist, Harvey. Harvey, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah.
What he said.
and what do you think it conveys? Because we see someone trying to pull the strings and talking about, he would say affecting, others would say manipulating the public views of the allegations.
I think that, you know, one big theme of the series is to go behind the scenes to really understand how brilliant you could say Sean Combs is at marketing, at owning his narrative, controlling the narrative at all times. And so why would that stop, you know, when his life is on the line? So I think that, you know, on its face, that's what it is. But as you get deeper in the film, you start to realize, you know, perhaps how some of these tactics, you know, how they really came to present themselves, you know, during the trial.
You show that his abilities, his early rise. Right. Alexandra, you also give time to victims of the alleged abuse. Some of the cases are in different procedural postures, and you show victims who were women and men. Why is that important?
Because, you know, victims of sexual assault, sexual violence, you know, that should, there should be, gender should not be a part of that conversation. When you are a victim, you are a victim. And I think that, you know, this series was a platform in a way for these alleged victims to come forward, give their truth, put context to their situations when so much of it was ripped out, you know, and we just went, the world was going for the salacious headlines, and they really had the time to tell their story.
Yeah, and the film takes us way behind the PR or propaganda machine. You see Diddy the day he's finding out about new suits against him while he's in New York preparing for a possible criminal